And we're live, I believe. Fun times, fun times. How is everybody? This is kind of cool. Fun times, fun times. Doesn't seem like most people are there, but yeah, we'll fix that. That was a horrible sound to make. So here we stand. In the midst of Super Suit Central Convention. Welcome to the MOU Panel, technically. Guess you could call it that. Where I will be having an MOU Q&A while also drawing my favorite characters of the MOU, the Org Avengers plus Tilly. Well, I don't even have to say plus Tilly anymore because she is an Org Avenger. And that's something that I'm very happy for. This turnout is great. It's a great turnout. Glad everybody's here for the panel. Might as well get drawing. Forgot that I have to get out my tablet. This is not something I can just do with a mouse. Or it's something I could do with a mouse, but it would take absolutely ages. So I'll plug this in. Now we should be good. So as you can see, we are currently, this drawing will be featuring Tilly taking a selfie with Dove, Clark, Tilly, Allie, and Andy. And those names look terrifying, so I'm going to try to delete them as soon as possible. But I'll start first with Tilly herself. Actually, I'll work my way up. So I'll start with Dove. I've always imagined Dove. Good grief. Oh, hello. Nico Lego, yes. This is actually not my channel. This is the channel for the Super Folder Central, as in the fans of the book series Origami Yoda, in which fanfiction has been written for it. Fanfiction that I was a big proponent of. Having started the Marvel Origami universe, of which I am now drawing main characters of. There we go. This character, for those who are just hopping on, is Dove McLeish. The guy who has Origami Thor. And is just a big softy all around. It's a bit naive for his own good. That means he always tries to see the best in people while also being a good leader to those around him. In fact, the cool thing about Dove is that he is not Thor at all. He's naive and a little shy. The reason he fits Thor so well is because of his innate goodness and the fact that if it were real, Dove would absolutely be able to lift the hammer. This chat is quieter than my stream chat, and that is saying something. Of course. Yes. Origami Thor right here. Gotta remember. How was Thor changed at all? Yeah. He got the shorter hair. Should I say Thorigami? It's more accurate. It's got a cape. Little Mjolnir. Question. Do you have any regrets that come to your mind in writing and planning the MOU? I have two major ones, I think. The first is that MOU Fold 1 was like just the council. I wanted it to be very collaborative from the start, but Fold 1 kind of worked out, and that it was just the council writing, which I'll admit brought together a lot of cool stories, but kind of started this elite thing where, like, more often than not, the council would be writing because all of their stories were now sequels. And so they'd take up the majority of the stories, which I didn't really want at the beginning. So that was an issue that started in Fold 1, but kind of lasted until Fold 2, and I accidentally gave him 6 fingers, and that is why his hand looks so wild. Second is actually sort of in response to that, I made Fold 2, like, I opened it up, and I didn't want to be as controlling of Fold 1 as I was, which meant... Hello? Which meant that I didn't try to be as involved in the planning, and it ended up with a lot of stories that probably should have been reined in a bit more. The biggest example of this is Spiderfold Into the Spider-Verse, written by Mega. May God rest his soul. He's not dead, he's just very gone. I don't want to really be shy about saying that I think that story kind of ruined the trajectory of the MOU Spider-Man because it introduced every single Spider-Verse character right at the beginning, meaning that Cal wasn't given any time to grow as a character on his own. And kind of killed it. Because only now, with Jarrett's story coming out pretty soon, Cal is getting focus as the hero of his own story and not just someone reacting with a whole bunch of other characters. So that's my biggest one. Other than that, I think that the story has unfolded in a mostly natural way. And it's gotten to the point where I'm really happy with how it is as a series. Which is, all anybody can really ask for. This guy's come together a lot quicker than I thought he would. Now for my favorite part, the face. And Dove, as he is Norwegian, has a large nose. heavy brow. And a small smile. If you're ever drawing Dove, which I'm not sure why you would, remember that he has the kindest eyes. Dove. So there's one down. Next will be Andy. Andy might be one of the most fun to write of all of these characters. Because he is the most, I'd say, uncertain of all of the heroes of this series. Because he was just kind of given Captain America for no real reason by Tilly. Or no real reason that he thinks. So he doesn't think that it's really good for him until he starts to actually use Captain America in the right way. Realize that he might just be the guy for the job. In fact, I'd say that Captain America might be one of my favorites that I've written. Can you tell us anything about the plotting of the finale? I've been struggling a lot. Well, I'll be honest, I have too. But the way I've sort of plotted it, it's a very personal story at the moment. Because it's about the Org Avengers and they're graduating. But they're graduating in a world that changed by like COVID and stuff. So they don't really know where they're going. So I've kind of drawn from my own experiences around like what happened because of COVID and using that as the stepping off point into making my story. The last story that I want to tell. So my advice would probably be find what scares you about an ending. Like, what gets you the most when it comes to endings? And write about that. And he's also the strong one. Because Wild Dove is the big... I'd almost say thick boy. And he works out. So he's strong. Hair is so hard to draw. I hate drawing it. That looks pretty good. Now, canonically, where was this picture taken? Probably right before Clark left for college. That's where I'd say. Well, not really college. Clark left for Claremont. Yo. Night Hunter. That'd be Thrawn. What's up? Come on. Curved lines. I hate them. Just realized I made him way too small. Just so his neck's not so Candace length. And now, just gotta fix Andy's eyes, because they're very off. Much better. Now it's just his mouth that's a bit weird. There, much better. Now I'll color these two. So that they are totally finished. Now, Dove. It's a very pale boy, because he is once again Norwegian. I was on the wrong layer. So quiet. So quiet indeed. Andrew has very red hair. Yeah, he'd be a bit lighter. These redheads don't tan very well. You know what? Captain America shirt. Beautiful. So there's Devin. Ooh, I almost forgot the origami. Hello. There we are. Now, the nice boys are done. Meaning we have Allie next. Allie is such an underrated character. Nobody talks about Allie much, but they should, because she's pretty awesome. Yep, it is. The origami fan fiction. B tier white. No, she's A tier at least. Cam didn't write Unshreddable Hulk 2 within the span of like a week to have Allie be called B tier. There is, in fact, a website where you can find the stories. Origami Chewbacca at WordPress.com is a website that has been running for 8 years now. And I've been a part of it for 7 of them. When I put it like that, it makes it sound so depressing. I'm kidding. Wouldn't have designed a whole universe if I thought so, really. Just imagine Allie having a little button nose. Her eyes are also very big. This is the real Noah R. That is very loud. Nope. Ali. Oh, that's terrifying. Okay. So that is 3 out of 5 done. Now, we got my boy Clark. Clark Largent. Clark's such a buzzkill.
charger, if you got the charger. I'm gonna do a little typing or writing, I mean.
What program do I use? Just because I haven't been talking for a while. I use the program Fire Alpaca. It's free, easy to use. Been using it for probably almost 4 years now. So with that in mind, I highly recommend it.
Is the charger back there?
So I'm very proud of Clark's pose here. He's embarrassed by his friends and just whatever, they're so lame. But then he's still pretty into it because he's very clearly bunny earring Tilly. There we go. Now to clean it up just a bit. Color him in. And as is commonly known, Clark is Hispanic, so his skin is just going to be a little darker. They're coming together. They're coming together. It's getting exciting. Now for the star of this particular picture, Tilly. It's fun playing with my mustache now that I have one. Now with Tilly, I imagine her hair is always so crazy that it's falling in her face. She always keeps it in a scrunchie. Sure thing, Yoda Force. Much better face shape. I've just stopped talking now because I know that most people have probably stopped listening. And that's okay. Okay. So there's a weird thing where her body is too large. It needs to be shortened a bit. And her neck is very thick. think this is going well. Want to join VC? VC? Well, frick yeah. Now, welcome everybody to the stream. Our very good friend Peyton. Peyton. Peyton, are you talking? This is wonderful. It's going very well. Hello. Am I even in BC? Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
There he is. Welcome to the stream, Mr. Peyton.
Sir,
Now,
I was
Peyton.
commenting. I was commenting under my old YouTube account. Currently driving home right now.
Well, thank you for coming to my MOU Q&A and drawing, which has really only just been drawing at the moment because there's been very little Q&A.
Want me to ask you some questions?
Go for it.
Okay, so so far out of Fold 4 of the MOU, what's been your favorite story?
Let me see. I have to remember what came out in Fold 4 because it's been going for so long now.
About a year or so, hasn't it? Like, or 6 months? 7, 8
It's
months?
been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. Took a while to get off the ground, and then
It did. I was very impressed. On the Claremont side, I've been very impressed with Origami Wolverine because I saw that story like develop from the start to what it is now. And it was very cool to see that process and how it is definitely the story that kind of establishes the environment of Claremont the best out of any of the Claremont stories. As for Wheeler, I was very, very impressed by Name Origami versus Black Panther by Guillermo.
totally agree with that.
That might be my favorite story of Fold 4 at the moment. I thought that both the characters of Guillermo and Gar were very well written, and you know exactly where both of them are coming from.
Absolutely.
And so that's the mark of a good versus story.
It's almost like it was almost when I read it, it felt as though it was the MOU's very own like Civil War almost.
It's the closest thing we have to a civil war, yes. Aside
Right.
from like the 3 chapters in Artron.
Yeah. But like it's very engaging. I think that like when I was writing Origami Wolverine, I had a lot of fun writing it because Claremont was a new school. Plus, all I had really read at that point when I actually started writing it, like, let's see, I had joined the council and we had essentially gotten started on it.
Yep.
And we weren't even done with, like, Fold 2 at that point. And,
I think Fold 2 had just started.
right. And we were plotting out that, and then,
It's
we
crazy.
had plans for Fantastic Four.
We did. And it's crazy that you joined the council because of the MOU. And that's something
Yeah.
that is just wild to think about because like everybody up until that point had joined because of like the EU proper, aside from maybe Cam, but he was given like ownership of the EU because JC said he was the only one that seemed interested anymore, which was really funny. But you were the first one who joined because of the modern era.
Because like I had been around since like 2012, but then like um, I left a few times, personal things, and then like I mean I came back and well here we are today, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I vividly remember sending in that little almost test thing to try to get involved because I was really deep into X-Men and Fantastic Four, and I wrote like a sort of Reed Richards character and a Doctor Doom character. And when you told me what the plan was for Fantastic Four, I was in like, oh crap, like I did not envision what that was until like until you told me, and then the feeling kind of sunk in that like, whoa, like we're really going back. We're going back to a time that like we haven't had in a long time.
Mm-hmm. And
And
the funniest thing is that story is the one that just came out this week. So
right, right,
it's been a long time coming.
absolutely. It's crazy to think about that because we had like, I mean, Fantastic Four. I wasn't supposed to be the one that had written like a lot of it. It was supposed to be Josh or JC, and like he just got busy and other stuff, and like as I'm sure the viewers know, he's currently like working on being a published author. He's currently in the talks with like an agent potentially, and hopefully he's going to be published soon. So of course he's been a lot more busy with that and can't really seem to write origami fan fiction.
The funniest thing is that while you guys were writing this, it was while I was on my break, and so I had no idea what was going on. I came back and they were both like, "Hey, so do you mind if Peyton helps me with this?" I'm like, "Wait, we've already got like most of it written. What?"
Yeah, but it came out honestly. Fold Four, like, or not Fold Four, but honestly, out of all the stories that I've written in the past like year, like, or not even year, in my whole EU career, I think Fantastic Four has to be one of my favorites that I've done.
It's
And like,
it's definitely one of the best.
yeah, it's really heavy though. I
It's
don't
a
know,
it's a heavy story. I'll give it that.
yeah. But it does encapsulate like, it was really writing it. Me and JC both agreed that like we needed to touch into some certain things, certain feelings that we were feeling because the characters in that are college age students. So yeah, it's really interesting. I had a lot of fun doing it. But yeah, who's your favorite Into the Ori Spider-Verse character?
Darn you. I'm trying to think. Probably.
And it can't be Cal. It cannot be Cal.
Dang it. I'm gonna go with the other cop out and say probably Lacey. Just because she's the one that's been developed the most so far. And like, or not even so far, just after the fact, she was the only one that anybody cared to touch.
Yeah,
And I like her. She's the straight man to a lot of Cal's antics, and which will be turned on its head for Spiderfold, the next one,
Right.
Because Lacey is going to have a huge role, and it's
Uh-huh.
not really a role that she's had before.
Yeah. I'm hyped for that story, I tell you what. Um, who do you think? So, you've been doing the MOU since what, like 20? Sounded like somebody just got into a car accident. Since like 2015, or no,
20
not 2015.
Okay, that would be way too long. 2018,
2018, right.
which is almost 4 years.
Oh, yeah. So, you've been doing this for a while. In your opinion, what is like? Was there anything you ever changed? Like, can you let us in on some like insider detail about the like Thanos and the Infinity Fold saga? Was there certain characters that were supposed to be like the letter N, letter H, or whatever that you did not plan for?
Let me think. Oh, hey, Jarrett. If Jarrett ever talks. Hello, Peyton. Are you still?
Yeah, I'm still
Okay,
here.
good. I was just worried. Get in a car accident.
No, I'm still alive.
So the interesting thing with Thanos and the Infinity Folds is that genuinely, it really didn't change all that much. As for the roster, I knew I always wanted to have Adrian be one of them as like the Heimdall character. I thought it'd be cool. I based a lot of it off of the fan theories of Infinity War at the time. And one of the fan theories was that like Heimdall was somehow connected to the Soul Stone because his like eyes were orange and he could see into people's souls kind of thing.
Right.
And so I based Adrian on that idea that like what if Heimdall was one of the Infinity Stones hypothetically. And so that's who Adrian became. The like Harrison obviously was always going to be the big Thanos villain, but he wasn't, and he was always going to be O. I knew it would be really funny. I have a weird sense of humor, and so I thought it'd be really funny to give his like middle name O.
Right.
And Harrison Osgood Herring was a red herring. That's where his last name came from. Because while he was a member of well, he was the leader of the Thanos organization, he was never meant to be H, which I knew a lot of people would probably guess. So that's why his nickname is, that's why his last name is Herring.
Man, that's actually like really creative. I'm sure like most of the viewers probably know this, but about like last year to help with Cam writing Summer Camp 6 or whatever, I had gone through and read all of the MOU, and that is such like a creative thing that I probably would not have even like recognized or noticed until you told me like literally just now.
There's a lot of those details floating around, and
Right.
I am a huge fan of like wordplay and Easter eggs and that kind of thing. And so the amount of I've probably forgotten a lot of the Easter eggs that are in the MOU at this point, because there's that many. And so you have Harrison. I knew I wanted to have one of the Org Avengers be a member of Thanos as a traitor, but I wasn't sure which one until we got Jessica, and I realized So Agents of Fold was always a story that I had trouble fitting in for the longest time. Because it's a good story, but I just kind of added it as an origin for like Jesse, Jessica, Lane, and Lena, so that they just don't come out of nowhere. But while I was drafting Infinity Folds, I realized that there was a lot of elements of that story that I could use for Infinity Folds. So it ended up, ironically, being one of the most important, because that's where the black box comes from. That's where Tilly and Trent's relationship really comes from, and why Tilly ends up with the black box in the first place. And that's the story where Jessica infiltrates Wheeler for a while. And while at Wheeler, that's where I assumed that she would have been brainwashed into joining the Infinity Fold. So I'm like, wait a second. That's a great place. Jessica is H. So that was a minor retcon. Her last name was Smith originally. I changed it to Jessica Smith Holt after Agents of Fold came out. So minor retcon to make things fit, but it still fits.
That's awesome. I was also wondering, so like, well, first of all, I'm currently pulling back up into my house, so I may have to hop off for like literally a minute or two to get back onto my computer.
Okay.
It was quite the crazy day at work. But like, in your opinion, this is a section that's rarely, if ever, really talked about. You never really hear about it. And since you're like the head honcho of the MOU, I figured that you read most, if not all of them. What's your opinion on like what's your favorite one shot?
Favorite one shot?
There's been a lot of them.
There has been a lot, and I can't. Oh wow!
Hey
Hi,
there.
Jarrett.
I snuck in when nobody's looking.
Thank
But,
you, Creed.
Noah's gone on record saying that he really likes Brother Voodoo.
I do.
Although that was supposed to be a one shot.
Yes, it was supposed to be a one shot,
so it
but
doesn't count.
I liked it so much that I bumped it up to main story status. So technically, you could say Brother Voodoo is my favorite one shot. Of the things that are actually in the one shot category,
Maybe we need a recap of all the one shots because there's a ton.
well, there is. I'm gonna try to say it all in one breath.
Don't do that.
Okay. Mantle of Ironfold, Org Venom, Luke Page, Master of Puppets, Korgagami and Squeak the Wrestling Team, Scissor Blade, The Ballad of Paper Ray Bill, Spiderfold, Rent Case, The Old Org Avengers, Antfold and the Wasp Fleet, Carnagami, The Menace of Mysterigami, Thoragami, Rise of Ragnarfold, Dawn of the Summer Camp 6, Ironfold, The Machinations of Manderfold, Namor 2, The Revenge of Reborn, Antfold, Stage Fright, The Amazing Spiderfold, Aura Riot, Namor 3, The Mission, Amazing Spiderfold, The Org Avengers, The Blank Knight, The Wheeler Curse, Org Pegasus, and the Man. Okay, never mind, I couldn't do it. Whew, okay. Then Volume 3, The Aura Defenders, Black Knight, The Wheeler Curse, Org Operation Pegasus, The Rides Marfold, whatever. Green Goblin Gami's Rage, Black Panther and Claw, The Mystery of Agent Venom Gami, Black Knight 2, The Electric Boogaloo, The Irreformable Org, Ant-Man, Doctor or Druid, the Spider Page, the Comic Con Upset, Captain Gami Britain, and the Spider Lip. Why? All of these puns, they're so hard to say. I will say.
I read one of those.
I will say, I am a fan of Thrawn's MCP saga because he, aside, I do like it a lot.
I always felt like it just kind of shoved its way into existence.
Well, the interesting thing is with the MCP saga is that so many of the one shots are literally that one shots, but Thrawn decided to take an era that hadn't been touched and like actually make a series out of it, and I really respect that because he was actually trying to use the one shot format in a like creative way. Um, I'm I also like the Mystery of Mysterigami. Um, I'm trying to remember who wrote that particular story. Menace of Mysterigami by Lord Tortimort. Nope, it's Lord Totemort. And I really liked that one.
I gotta respect that name. Honestly, it's actually that's one of the that's a name that stands out
It's
amongst
one of the
the
funnier
crowd.
ones, yeah.
Yeah, I just stumbled across Tin Titans. Golly.
So, yeah, that's to answer your question in a very roundabout way.
I don't think he gave an answer. Did you?
Favorite one shot, MCP Saga, and Menace of Mysterigami.
Ah, I think I liked that first one that came out that one time.
Oh yeah, that one.
The Iron Man one
Oh, with
with the Pez dispenser gun.
oh yeah, the Pez dispenser gun. That was a decision.
Yeah.
Indeed. Indubitable.
Who wrote that? I forget.
I'm gonna check. Mantle of Ironfold by Guillermo.
Interesting.
That might have been Guillermo's very first story.
Mhm.
Wow.
What a turn of events. I was expecting like Thrawn.
Came out November 17th, 2018.
Wow. Has this really been going on like 2-3 years?
Oh yeah.
It feels like a year and a half.
Nope. It feels exactly that length of time for me.
Maybe for you.
I mean, you've only been on the council for a little over a year now. But yeah, I feel every single day of it. I'm old. I'm tired.
I'm older than
And I'm
I
old.
look.
This
I'm
game,
old. I'm tired. I'm old. I'm kind of tired. And I'm pretty old, you know.
this
Did I mention
game
I have a bit of dementia?
is for the old, is
Wild
for the
case.
young and the hungry.
Still waiting on somebody to adapt Loki. 'Cause you know
Oh,
somebody wants to do it.
Hades is.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Okay, yeah, fair. Um, sorry, Hades. I'm sure you're like the only one listening at this point.
He's... Are
Oh,
we live?
I've never stopped being live.
Oh crap! I am sorry.
I
I thought this was live, just like on Discord.
don't think we've said anything that we can't take back.
They don't respect me as much as you. I will never be able to put this behind me.
Yep.
My reputation is permanently scarred.
Hades just said, "Oh," in the
Oh no!
in the live chat. Jar Jar, you've killed him. It also could be because of the horrifying background with the eyes that happened because I didn't fill in Andy and
Let's say it was that. Unless I get a DM from him, then we know I'm up a creek.
he just said true, and I don't know what is true. I will say, there's a lot.
Hades is typing.
There's a lot that I wish I could have done in the MOU now.
Hmm.
Like, especially now that we have all of the, like, Disney Plus shows. There's a lot that could have come from them. But there is a point when you gotta let it go. And I think I'm there.
Alright, yep, it's official. I'm in the doghouse.
You can't let go. My microphone quality is probably really bad because I'm currently on an AirPod. Let me hop onto my computer real fast.
Where the frick is this line?
I got barbecue, baby.
It was when you said, people don't respect Jar Jar. Is when he said, oh. But you don't have to say oh, because it's true.
You... Fair.
Get burned. Youch.
Joke's on you. I live in the water.
You freaking Gungan.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
And the quality's probably 1,000 times better because I'm not driving, nor am I.
I wouldn't say 1,000, but it is a multiple.
So, Noah.
So, there
since
we
we're
are.
In the mood of, since we're in the mood of questioning, is there any character that you wish you had incorporated early on to be a well-established character that you did not?
That was going to be my next question.
Cal. No hesitation.
That's fair. More so, I meant like a character
Oh,
from the comics
yeah, I
that
know.
was never introduced.
I know what you meant.
Cal
Think-
still.
Thinking about it, there isn't many characters that I think I missed out on, because you've got the Org Avengers, you've got the Org Avengers 2 or whatever. I'm trying to think. I'll probably have an answer for you at some point. But right now, I'm actually pretty proud of how many characters we were able to get in that still feel distinct and unique and have their like own voices, because that's really difficult when you're, especially when you're doing a collaborative story, like collaborative series, like the MOU has been. It's very difficult to make sure that everyone has a distinct voice, and so you're able to recognize them. And has that worked out for some better than others? Yeah. But most people in the MOU are very recognizable just by their personalities, and I'm very proud of that fact.
I always felt like we could have done more with the Defenders as a team.
That is true.
Agreed, yeah.
And you're...
Most people probably don't know this. I know you were probably getting ready to say the same thing I was.
I was,
But
yeah.
when I was first trying to start getting into writing some of these stories, that was my initial pitch, was starting a Defenders group. Like you make a Daredevil story, an Iron Fist story, Luke Cage, and some of those did show up.
Luke.
Some of those did become become stories, and it would culminate into this mini one-shot Defenders, and
I
that
think
sort of happened.
which is ironically very fitting based on how the Netflix Avengers Defenders went.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
I
But
think
I've always,
a
I've
large
always had a. Sorry, go
a,
ahead.
a large part of that was probably my fault because I never really had a plan for how the Defenders would interact with this world.
Mhm.
And so I never really put much thought into where they would go. So I'll take some of the blame for that one.
Well, there was Goodman Middle.
There was.
Yeah. If given the chance, like, if you, because the finale is your last story, right? Of the MOU. This is the last one that you're gonna write, right?
Probably. I'm never going to say no for sure because there could be a point where somebody invites me to write a story that I find really interesting. So I'm never going to say no to the possibility of coming back.
He'll be back.
But yes, at the moment the finale is going to be my last story for the MOU and maybe the SFC, but I'm not totally sure on that front.
So what I was going to ask though was, because I see that the image is more or less done. What is, like, if you could go back and write one more story before the finale, what would that story be?
I would say I think there's two. One more story establishing Claremont as like its own establishing Claremont and the Origami X-Men as their own entity apart from like how they relate to Emily and Clark, just so that it's more of a fully realized setting instead of just the bad school with the mean kids kind of thing.
Right.
And then probably one more about Tilly herself because of the MOU. I would say that Clark and Tilly are actually the main characters. Because you follow those two in particular from the very start, and they're the ones that I think have the greatest character arcs, or like the most expansive character arcs. Because Clark, you go from apathetic Clark who couldn't give a crap about what's going on at his school, and is really only out for himself from the beginning, even not really out for anyone like Emily or Cal. He's just kind of there just to do whatever he wants to do and have a good high school according to his ideas. But Clark goes through so much character change, from accepting the fact that he needs to be one of these heroes of the school to help protect those who can't really protect themselves, to Org Avengers, where he recognizes that he can't always do it alone, and sometimes he does have to work with people. Imperfect Ironfold, probably still my favorite story of the MOU, or my favorite that I've written on the site, because that's where Clark. It's the most complex of Clark's story because he gets so full of himself when it comes to being a hero that he kind of trips himself out into becoming a villain, and it's where he finally has to accept that Cal and Emily are as much a part of him as the Ironfold identity. And I think
Right.
that's where Emily and Clark's relationship finally begins to grow, instead of just, this is my super hot girlfriend and this is my annoying brother. That's where they finally grow as relationally.
Exactly.
Rage of Artron, not the biggest one for Clark's character depth, but it's still like big because he has to deal with the mistakes of his friends, and that's hard for him because he just was able to trust them, and now like they make mistakes, and so he can't. He has to fix them for them. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down, man.
And then, weirdly, there's just this bit of a dark gap between like all of the new heroes that are introduced from Novagami all the way up to Thanos, where at this point Clark is actually the mentor and can finally show other people how to be a hero. And that's where his
Right.
character arc intersects with Tilly's. And Tilly, at this point, has been perfectly fine with being the sidekick. She just wants to be included, pretty much. And she's content with that. But as the sidekick, she goes through a lot of main character things, which hurt her. She loses Trent, who she had a massive crush on, finding out that he is not even just a bad guy, but a bad guy. And picking up the pieces of Fold and trying to hold it together by herself. And then in Thanos and the Infinity Folds, she has to become a hero herself, and it's a very different hero acceptance than Clark's, because Clark was 100% sure of himself whenever he became Iron Man. It wasn't really a crisis of confidence, more so a crisis of, ugh, this is something I have to do. But Tilly's is a crisis of confidence because she doesn't think she's worth being a hero of herself. So Clark has to show her that she is a hero. And I really like how they kind of combine like that.
Right. And that's awesome.
Some people might say I put too much thought into the character arcs of characters in a origami fan fiction site, but who cares? It's fun.
Right. I think in my
Thank you,
honest
Jinyu.
opinion-
I do think I do look nice with a beard. I also look old. Thank you.
I think, in my opinion, well, the reason why I've stayed on this site for so long is the fact that our characters are so in depth.
Well realized.
Yeah, they're well realized and they're like great to stick with. I mean, here we are, the MOU and DCOU figureheads, and founders, and like both of our universes have characters that go through so much change, so much development, and like I think that we are, as our characters develop, so does our abilities as writers, and
Absolutely.
I mean, like going back and looking at old stories, like I'm sure you may have done this and looked back at like Ironfold 1 and you're like, oh man, I could have done this a lot more, or I would have done that better. I've done the same thing with like Batfold. And,
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting thinking about it like that, because their characters are so well realized. But at the same time, I think that those earlier stories are a lot more innocent in how they are like described, how the characters are portrayed.
And I think-
now, yeah,
But I also think that they're a lot more foundational than we probably give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
because they're still the ones that built what we know as the characters in like version 1.0. Like Alan version 1.0 is a simple character, but there's still enough there that you're able to build like the whole complex character arc of Alan Wade and his rise and fall and rise and fall. He has a lot of rises and a lot of falls.
Yes, absolutely.
And it is because of the foundation of Batfold and Ironfold 1.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And I
Right.
think with this picture being done, I think it's good place to call it for the night. So
Yeah.
thank you for those of you who actually came on to talk and discuss things, and I'm very proud of this picture. This is canonical, so this. Oh, by the way, this picture probably took Tilly probably took this selfie a couple days before Clark left for Claremont. So they're all there, probably helping him pack.
Sweet.
Clark is just annoyed by all of them, but as you can see, he's not so annoyed because he's still getting into the fun of it with the bunny ears.
With bunny ears, yeah, that's cute. I like it a lot.
And there we go. So thank you all, and I'll see you later. And I can't do my outro because I'm not on my YouTube. So bye.
Bye, y'all.